Have you ever wondered why you itch as you heal? According to the dictionary, the definition of itch is an unpleasant feeling that causes a desire to scratch. But if healing is beneficial and itching is a symptom of healing, why is it described as unpleasant? About a week ago, I was opening a can and I sliced my finger. As soon as I sliced it, it started bleeding everywhere, and I knew that I needed to stop the bleeding as soon as I could to prevent a bigger mess from happening. Once the bleeding stopped, I realized that I might still have food inside of this wound, so I needed to actually go ahead and clean it out to prevent me from having a worse setup later on, because now I have food and I have an infected wound. Once I cleaned out the wound, which, to be clear, hurt, I had to make sure that I covered up that wound to allow it to actually heal. I didn't want to allow more food or more other stuff to get into it, and I didn't want it to get infected, so I put a Band-Aid on top of it. As it started to heal, it also started to itch. And sometimes itching happens because there's actually something going on, like an infection or something, but sometimes itching is actually a sign that it's healing. And how do you know the difference? The obvious answer is you have to look at your wound to see if this is an infection or if it's actually healing. But that requires you to remove the bandage. And we talked about how if you remove the Band-Aid while it's still healing, you might actually set yourself up to have a worse situation later because you are introducing an infection. However, if that infection is already there and you're leaving the Band-Aid on it, you're actually making the infection get worse because you're not addressing the situation as you need to address it. In addition to being physically wounded, we are often emotionally wounded by other people in our lives. And so often, instead of actually cleaning out that wound, we just put the Band-Aid on, allowing the infection to continue. If your body is unable to remove an infection, it will create a literal wall separating that part of your body from the rest of your body to prevent that infection from spreading further from beyond where it already is. In the same way, we often create emotional walls to prevent ourselves from being further impacted by an infectious person or an infectious characteristic of a person, aka a racist person, a discriminatory person, a biased person, someone who doesn't treat everyone the way they deserve to be treated. The complicated thing about wound healing is that eventually you do have to remove the bandage before you have completely healed, because you have to expose yourself to the environment in order for the healing to complete. If you leave that bandage on too long, the bandage is now the reason you are itching, not the healing. In general, itching lets us know that there is something off from business as usual in our bodies. However, that does not always mean we need to scratch that itch. When you are healing, business is not normal. But that is not an itch to be scratched. That is an itch to be consciously aware of and intentionally choose to let it be, because you know that itch is for your benefit. So maybe this question isn't why do you itch as you heal? Maybe the question is, how do you discern an itch to address versus an itch to let be? And if an itch is an unpleasant feeling, should it be avoided?